Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to another Last Epoch dev stream. As usual, I'm your host, Mike. And look at that. Coincidentally, I happen to be wearing the right shirt, and I just looked down and found that out. Woo! It was a busy one to get here. But we did it. We made it. We're gonna hop right back in. We're gonna have some fun. We've never cleared this one. We're gonna clear it. Oh, how's everybody doing today? Oh, feels like a good day today. I'm excited. I got some cool stuff to share. Hope you all are ready to, relaxed, fun stream. We're gonna do a boss fight. Kick things off. Starting next stream, I think I'm gonna be playing a new build. I think we're gonna start doing the community spotlight builds. So we do the, if you haven't seen it yet, there's a sweet post, the Eterra Eterra monthly post, sorry. The November one just got put out. And there's some awesome stuff in it. And I think we're gonna start doing like or like have like the build of the month every month, and then I'll play that on stream. So people can get a feel for what it looks like actually. Aaron! Hi Mike, subathon done. I'm free. 65 days. I saw. Yeah, it is. You had a sneaky strategy for ending it, not calling any attention to it. I think that was smart, and I definitely would not suggest that it was cheating at all. That's a totally okay thing to do. Totally, yeah. Well done. No, but in all seriousness, that was pretty fantastic, and I'm glad it went so well for you. Hey, Daddy Mike, we need some updates. You need some updates. Have I got updates for you? Oh, excuse me. The sound of my lunch was not the update. And I apologize. Mike, isn't Aaron contracted to do another subathon when season 2 gets here? Oh. See now, if we're, whoa, that was close. If we're full on doing that, and then is there conflicting interests here where Aaron wants it to be delayed more and more? You want Aaron to be on your side, to be telling us to do it releases sooner, right? Right. And no, just for the record, Aaron's not contracted to do a subathon, but I think he said he was going to himself do a subathon at the start of season 2, and I think because the mid-season event happened at the same time where he expected season 2 to come, I think that was the same subathon because he was gonna like do it before the end of the year. So I think he's, for his own self-imposed contract, I think he's fulfilled his obligations. But you know, I wouldn't hate to see another one because I do love them. All right. If you do have a question, please feel free to ask it. Please put at Last Epoch Game in the questions so I see it and know you want me to answer it. Also, we stream for charity. Boom! Child's Play is our charity this month. They do wonderful stuff. Check them out. Show them some love. All the everything from stream goes to whoever we're charity streaming for that month. I know all the terms because yeah, this is something I should know, right? Paul the Saint, welcome. Good evening, Mike. And I have a great stream. Thank you very much, Mike. The Chronicler proposal is posted, and I promise this is the last you'll hear of this for a good while. Is the Chronicler the new name for the Traveler class? Is it a reworked version of that? because I read the original one. Did I forget to leave feedback? Okay, you'll have to tell me if I remember to leave feedback or not, because I remember writing up a big thing for you on your second one, the Dragon Knight. It wasn't that big. It was a little paragraph or two, I think. And I don't remember if I actually posted it or not. Part of me is like, did I like write it out and then be like, okay, I'll proofread this and post it later, and just never posted it. So let me know if I remember to do that, please. Pretty sure I did. I hope I did. Hi Mike, hope you're good with all the hype around PoE 2. Do you guys feel any pressure in the action RPG space? I mean, yeah, there's always tons of pressure coming from like from Path of Exile, from Diablo, from plenty of other games too that are fantastic. And pressure might be the wrong word. I think there's like a little bit of a renewed interest in the genre right now. And we're in this odd space, like a week before their beta starts, where we can like almost like there's more traffic, but at the same time a lot of it's around PoE 2, and we're not quite ready to start like just, hey, look at all this stuff, because I think it might get kind of lost in the PoE 2 beta. So I don't know what the strategy is around that, but I'm pumped for the PoE 2 beta. I think it's gonna be sweet. Or the early access, sorry. I don't know, I think it's gonna be really interesting to play and see the similarities and differences and things, because I know that there's like by starting fresh again, they managed to tackle a lot of the same problems without having to tackle all the same problems we've had to tackle without having to build off of an existing system. Similar, and so I think that a lot of the ways that they've approached some of these problems from a design perspective is kind of similar to what we've gone for as well. Like, sounds bad. That's not what I mean. Like where you start looking at a problem and say, how do we fix that? And then you're not beholden to a previous system to fix it in a certain way. Makes sense. And so I'm interested to see some of the solutions they've come up with, because I think they'll be more relevant to Last Epoch than PoE 1 have been. And in some cases they'll just be the same, and in some cases they'll be completely different. Which build is it right now you playing? Right now I am playing a Harvest Lich. So yeah, we're fully into Harvest, or into Lich here. There's the stuff we've got. Really quickly, I'll show you my skill trees. You can clip this and pause it, and if you want to see all the stuff. But we're using basically Reperform to get a bunch of damage and not die. Death Seal's a ton of extra damage. Bone Curse is a ton of extra damage. Harvest does the damage and triggers all the things, and Transplant lets us move places. it's kind of about it. Transplant's also a bunch of our culling as well. Primary weapon is really important. This is good. I really like this. This is sweet. And a bunch of other random stuff. I also got this. So I've been trying to get Titanheart incorporated into the build. It's not quite a good enough one, I don't think, to really do, but the lack of regeneration and lack of ward gain puts me in very awkward positions, because I'll be like sitting in town and I'll be like, you see what happens to my health? It kind of vanishes. Will I play PoE 2 at launch? Yeah. Merch store update. I asked again. I did ask again, and there's every time I ask someone new, and it's always like, yeah, I really want one too. So there's lots of interest for it. I know people are working on it. I don't have any details on when. When next update, Q1 2025. So it's somewhere between the start of January and the end of March. I can't be agreeing with Aaron like that. Sorry, my bad. You said that there are updates to the Lich Mastery, if I remember correctly. Any chance we might see some of those tonight? No, the Lich is... The updates we're doing to Lich are pretty minor by comparison to a lot of the other things we're doing. one of the things that was poised for Lich is teetering on a knife edge right now, if it's going to make it or not. What I meant was there was someone who wanted to do a supporter unique for Lich, and they wanted to wait until the thing that is like maybe or maybe not coming, or but to be released first before they made their unique, because they were basically, they pitched their unique, and we're like, that's kind of the thing we're adding already, so maybe wait and build off that. And they've been around forever, so they had no problem with that. All right, losing a 3 LP slam is the worst feeling in LEIMO. Any plans to address this issue in the next update? Yes. I don't think we want to make it impossible to fail, but I do think having ways to affect it is really positive, and I think we can make it to the point where maybe you have to invest, like if you're like, this is a really important one, I want to invest a little bit more into it and improve the odds. There should be ways to do that where it's where it feels good to do, and it's, yeah. Because yeah, it's one of those few moments that you feel like you're actually going backwards, which is really unfortunate. Yeah. Can we just DPS through it? We can just DPS through it.
Let the void take you.
We'd like to see. Alright. General game dev question. When you see a neat system in another game, do you try to find your own spin on it for your game? I try really hard to separate myself, the player, from myself, the designer, when I'm playing other games. And I try really hard to just enjoy them. My wife sometimes gets a little frustrated with me when I'm like commenting on like oh, this system's really well designed, and like, oh, you see what they did there, that was sneaky and it caused you to do this, and she's like, I don't care at all, Mike, I just want to play the game. I'm like, yeah, fine, fair enough. So I try really hard to separate myself and just play and enjoy games. And then when I'm in a designing headspace and I'm like, okay, I'm going to design something, I'll frequently like think about other games I've played and things like that, but it won't be yeah, let's do Ring actually. I try really hard not to like start designing something for Last Epoch from the standpoint of, hey, this worked really well in that other game, let's try and pull it in. Like that, I think, is often a doomed place to start. Not always, sometimes it works really well, but I think there's a lot of room for that to go bad, because sometimes you don't understand the motivation behind why they were implementing that thing, and sometimes it's reliant on another system, or it's solving a problem your game doesn't even have, and just like adding more complexity without adding depth can not always be a positive thing. So yeah, I think I try not to, in general. I left feedback on the warrior class and said the traveler chronicler can't be implemented, but that never stopped me from posting a good idea. I see what you're saying. Yeah, I didn't give, I remember this, I didn't give any details on why I was like, the chronicler doesn't really work. I think the core thing is it needs to have some grounding in a player fantasy that exists in the world of gaming in general, kind of already. And if it doesn't have that, it's tough to have a class attract people initially. So what am I talking about? Necromancer is the most played mastery we have. But it always is. It doesn't matter if like some other classes had a big update, Necromancer always wins. There's the Warlock, Rune Master, that update, those two actually were a little bit better, but Necromancer was like a very, very close third. And it's one of those things where it's like, it's just so popular because it's so good, and it's so ingrained in people's ideas of what's exciting and what's fun for them, that people just love that one. And so I think without having I think the Chronicler class, one of the big problems with it is that it doesn't have a strong fantasy footing existing elsewhere already, where you can't see like, okay, I'm going to be this thing. It's kind of hard to decide what that thing is. It's lacking an identity. There we go. That's the clear way to say it. Sometimes I just gotta talk things out. Sorry. We talk a lot about new stuff. What about nerfs? What's on the team's radar for the nerf hammer? I mean, there's a few things. I don't want to speak too specifically because I could get something a little bit wrong, and I also could miss things as well. So I'm definitely, this is far from an exhaustive list. I will not even attempt to do that. I think there's a few really obvious targets for things that are just like, they're overtuned and it's really obvious, but it doesn't necessarily mean like the entire class fantasy is getting, why is this so much harder? I just realized because I clicked empowered. Gotta be on your toes, Mike. Let's not die here. There's okay. What's an example of something that's obviously really incredibly powerful? The ward generation from the Frostclaw tree. It's a lot for putting some skill points in, and I think that I think it would be better. Like, it's still good that there's a very high ward generation possible in that type of gameplay, but it probably kicks in a little too early, mostly because because it is purely in the skill tree. So I think we'd likely be nerfing that a little bit, but then looking for a way to maybe itemize that process a little bit, so it's something that can be incorporated into your build a little bit later on. That style of thing I think would be something to keep an eye on. I don't know if that's actually specifically happening or not. I've been kind of in my own world a little bit. Working on a project that you won't see for a long time. It was a horrible tease to say. I'm sorry. Just because it's not coming in this patch, it's for a future patch. That's all. Was trying to get close enough. Oh my goodness. I did not do enough damage for this. This is crazy. I don't want to death seal myself in human form, because I will just pop. I think this one was targeted at me. I will answer it. I always wondered, how is the philosophy on creating mechanics, skills, content? Do you come up with something that is in another ARPG and then just throw it out, or do you keep it and expand on it? I think because we are far enough along in development, like it is a full, wow, I just got popped right out immediately. Oh, this is gonna be bad. I think because we're far enough, like we're in a complete game situation, we're in like post-launch and update scenario. We really have to look at sort of like, how do we increase the fun? How do we make the game more engaging? How do we remove things that are, breaking up the flow too much, things that are getting in people's way from like doing what they want to do and enjoy the game, really. I think it's really rarely comes from a place of, this is what I was talking about earlier, rarely comes from a place of like, what does that game do? How can we add it to our game? And not just from the like, is that morally right type, or even legally okay standpoint as well. Just from the like, I don't think it's the most effective way to get new high quality content for the game, really. Oh, this was a big one that so I think feedback, here's a good place to start. Awesome segue, thanks game, high five. All right. And we are running away. Feedback's a huge part that we'll frequently start a design process, like start a project from like a feedback standpoint. So the boss ward system. So when you fight a boss, there's like health bar at the top. I don't have anything that's going to trigger it. No, the health bar at the top, and you get like the little pips that say like, okay, at this breakpoint you're going to get a ward bar. At this breakpoint you're going to get a ward bar. So that system is a very long form evolution of feedback iteration that we've been doing. There was a completely invisible system we didn't even tell anyone about right at the very start that didn't last very long at all. And then there was a system where as you dealt damage to it, bosses got more defenses, and as you didn't do damage to it, they lost defenses. And that had that normalization effect, but it was too hidden, and it caused people to be like, well, where did all my damage go? And no one liked it. So we replaced it with the boss ward system. There's just a bit of history here and segueing into a little something that was released in the monthly if you haven't read that yet. So the boss ward system, I think, is a huge improvement over the boss DR system, but it's not perfect, and it's kind of unnecessary in a lot of situations. So what we're doing is we are focusing that system only where it's really needed and tweaking a bunch of the numbers so it feels a lot better. What this will do is it will cause a larger, it'll mean that you won't see it anywhere near as much. You'll see it rarely. Instead of expecting it, you'll be like, oh, this is a big, when you see it, you'll know this is a big boss fight, a major, like a chapter boss or a timeline boss. Like, you'll know this is a big deal boss because it has a boss ward. Or if it's really, really, really thematically appropriate and super, like, there's some other mechanical reason it's there. There aren't any of those yet, but we're leaving the door open for that to be a possibility. Oh no, avalanche. This guy needs to die. Got him. So the boss ward system is going to show up in way fewer places. Like, it won't show up on exiled mages anymore, which you're going to see it here in just a second. If I can get that far down, my goodness, it is just going to bot me. Oh yeah, tried to use a health potion through that, didn't work. We might not be good enough for this, I think. So yeah, you're gonna see the boss ward system show up in far fewer places. When it does show up, it's gonna make a lot more sense. And also the ward is gonna decay faster, which means you'll start to builds that aren't really chewing through that ward themselves are gonna see a big difference in kill speed time. Basically, if you're on the lower power character, you're gonna be like, oh, bosses just got a lot less health. But if you're on a high power, like a super high power character, you're not gonna notice a ton of difference, which I think is fine, because I don't think that the system was really a big problem for really high powered characters. At least that was the feedback we've been getting. So I am interested to know what you guys think about this this upcoming change in general, and we'll be looking at feedback more after. It's hard to give feedback on a system when you're like when you just know theoretically what it is and not what it actually does yet. And oh my god, this combination of shrines is unreal. It was great for a second. Let's see if we can do it with the shrine. Wow, we actually did it. Sweet. Wow, are you losing weight? I am, thank you. It feels fantastic. That gets asked basically every stream now, and it's yeah. Thank you. What's your take on Rod Ferguson saying when he said about ARPGs being called Diablo-likes? Do you think it was a little salty? I mean, I don't. We've been marketing this game, and like, how do I say this? Whenever I tell people like about my game, it's a little bit of a niche genre, I think. I think RPGs are, it's a subgenre of a subgenre, and it's not like a super duper like well-known genre in, I'd say, the modern era of gaming. For people that like are maybe like used to play games or just like very casual gamers, that sort of thing. But a lot of people know Diablo from when they were kids. And so, like, personally, anyways, I guess maybe this is just showing my age, is that when I tell people, like my friends and family and stuff about, or like I meet someone at a bar, it's like, oh, you're so and so's husband, or I'm so and so's dad, or whatever, and like I describe the game, I'm like, it's like, have you ever played Diablo? That's kind of the first thing I ask people. It's a lot like that. And I just said Diablo like accidentally. So, you know, it's I see where he's coming from. Like, it is a very culturally ingrained way to talk about the genre, and I think it's like it's been kind of an alternate name for the genre for a long time anyways. I don't know, I heard it, I'm like, isn't that just something people call the genre already? Why is this a problem? That's my feeling on it. So I guess I don't have any strong feelings about it one way or another, but I see where he's coming from. And I see why people are kind of like, grumble, grumble, grumble. So.
That is too much.
I did one! We did two, actually! Yay! 2 empowered mottos down! Woohoo!
Worthless anyway.
Should be looking if I'm finding anything. Might actually be useful. Health regen, slap it on with this. Yeah. Who are you and what have you done with Mike? Hi, I'm Mike. I left like a third of me over there. Hello, Mike. Have you ever thought of doing a free online play weekend trail as a marketing strategy to attract new players? I think we've already done that before once, and I think it's come up as an option again. I'm not really at the forefront of the marketing strategy conversations at all. So I don't know what's coming, but I know it's something I think we've done before, and I know we've talked about doing again, so it's possible. Interested if LE, but afraid they may not like it and have little money to risk. I suggest offline, so ideally a weekend surge of players won't crash the servers. I mean, the weekend surge would have to be pretty astronomical to really mess the servers up these days, but yeah, I don't see why not, but I'm not in a position to make an official statement on that front. So I like the idea. We're gonna fill up our... Oh no, I put that away somewhere. Oh well, fine, we'll deal with it later. We've changed a bunch of the UI in the inventory, and so like buttons are either gone or aren't where they were before, and there's stuff's moved, and it's like I've been playing on the new UI for the inventory client. It's not a huge change, but it's like just enough that I'm like clicking in the wrong spot a whole bunch. Which is something that we mentioned, I think, already in the monthly as well, is that there's now tabs for your inventory, and different categories of things can go in different tabs. And it'll clean up the picking up process for a lot of stuff that people will be very happy about. Let's do a little teaser. Let's do a little teaser. We've been going for a little while. How long? Half an hour. That's plenty of time to do one, right? Boom! Here's a little Void Knight passive tree teaseroo. Necro's the most played class because you guys do it so well. Thank you. Even the non-summoner builds are so much fun. Yeah. With season 2, will there be changes, small and big ones, for every class? Yes. Or are there a few that will stay totally untouched? No. If you can say anything to that, of course. Yeah, there's I mean, so you're gonna see the biggest changes on I would say Sentinel, as that'll have the biggest changes across all three masteries are getting a bunch of touches. There's one reworked skill there that was it's volatile reversal, which we've been talking about for a while now, which was you'd take volatile reversal in almost every single build because it had such a humongous damage output. Even if the functionality was brutal for your build and playstyle and you just as a person didn't like it, it was so powerful that you kind of had to take it. Which is just like it removes it's you're now picking 4 skills instead of 5, so like the creativity in build crafting diminishes a whole bunch. And for a lot of people it wasn't a playstyle they enjoyed, so we wanted to pull that out while still having it be a viable and fun and powerful option for people who do like it. And so there's going to be that skill got reworked, base functionality, tree, everything. We've been teasing nodes on that like crazy, and there's a whole bunch because of that. There's a whole bunch of stuff around it that had to get adjusted too, because a lot of stuff had to get buffed because it was all being propped up by volatile reversal. So yeah, there's a lot of changes in Sentinel in general, and that's a lot of the teasers we've seen for the last little bit has been on that, because that's what we've been working on so much lately. But yeah, there's stuff all over the place, and that comes from something as simple as like a new unique item can shake up an entire class. And I think we'll see that in a couple places. There's a new skill for another class coming. That's gonna be so nice. Just kind of like revitalize a mastery that's hasn't seen much in the way of changes in total ever, really. We still take crits like crazy, don't we? Yeah, we do. That's a big problem. We can't really afford to go into one where they get crit bonuses, even though I want that experience. We apply mark for death to ourselves, so well, even if you pick up a few skills or ideas from the chronicler, I will be more than happy. I just wanted to share. Yeah, I love reading these class things, and I know I frequently don't reply to long posts like that, but I do read them all. Thanks, Kane. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, caught it. I caught it myself without any help. Yeah. Well, even if you, oh yeah, it's that. I love the inclusion of the loot lizard. I'm curious how you guys decided on that choice of animal and creature. You know, sometimes the convenient option is the best option. When you don't have a ton of resources to build something, you work with what you have. And it was just like we looked at what we had available, and it was just the most absolute obvious choice, and we kind of just went with it because it was like the name works great. We had variants already prepared of it. Like it was so obviously the right choice that we didn't really spend much time thinking about it. I think it's even one of those systems that wasn't even planned really, and someone was just like, I can slip that in, and what do we have? Oh, that's what we have. And just the first version came very quickly on the heels of deciding to even do something, I think. And so it pushed it. Yeah, I think it was, and every step along the way we're like after the first version, do we change this? Do we update it? No, it's great. Let's just keep going. You know, I think that's kind of what it was. To follow up on a free weekend, hopefully you could get it as a Steam weekend deal, so LE would be on the front page and gain interest in those who don't know all about LE at all. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that does that. I feel like we'll be trying to push it back into a situation like that if possible. But yes, we would do it through Steam. That's definitely, that's the way we did it last time, I'm pretty sure. Enemies in rage at half health, sure. Go wrong. For new season, what will be added to Endgame? We haven't really talked about We haven't really talked about specifics on what's coming next season for Endgame, so I can't really talk about it much, just because it's I'd be spoiling a humongous portion. Oh, that hurt. I just got bot frick. I'm not gonna survive this. Oh my gosh, this is too much danger for me. We're gonna go do something else because it's no fun just getting your ass handed to you. What can we roll a better version of? Does it show roll ranges? There it is, roll ranges. At least we can improve that. Okay. Nope. But Endgame is getting a very substantial update. This is something that we know. It's the system that we're releasing for Endgame is kind of the reason why season 2 got delayed so much, because we were planning on having a smaller version of this for 1.3 originally. And from all the feedback we got from 1.1, people were kind of like, that's not going to be good enough, basically. And we really wanted to have a big update to Endgame to come and kind of breathe new life into the moment-to-moment decision making, but also the like meta decision making for Endgame. Because right now there's not a lot of meta decision making to make in Endgame right now at all. Basically, there's like your Endgame meta decision making is, do I go down this path or this path? That's basically it right now. And there's like the little things of like when you're on the timeline web, like, oh, do I go down this side of the tree or do I go on that side of the web? Like when you're in a specific timeline echo web, and like that's I think that is less. There's less like, I don't know. It feels like there's less impactful decisions that you're making there. Because you're just making like the next decision. You're not there's no reason to like think ahead very much. There's like little things here and there, but it's really subtle and it doesn't feel very specific. And there's a few things we added with this with the faction system, the item faction system, when we added in like Circle of Fortune has a few things with like lenses that you can do, and like making some decisions on like what type of content you're gonna do and thinking ahead that way. So there's like some hints of it there a little bit, but it's still not really fully fleshed out. And like and once again, there's a little bit of a gain with the Forgotten Knights where you have to like pick the order that you do this in, so you're not leaving like really hard ones to the very end, and like, you know, things like that. So there's some things that are kind of hinting at that style of stuff, but there's not really any big decisions, and there's also just not enough variety of activities. So we don't have, like, we've only got a handful of activities. We've got 3 different dungeons, which are arguably the same thing, but I think I'd call them different activities, but they're very similar. The big problem with that is counting them even in this category is that you usually do them to get the specific rewards they have that you don't generally want to farm over and over again. And then you have the arena, which is not really fantastic for experience or loot for the most part. And so you're kind of left with the monolith as your almost exclusive like end game system to like interact with. That's like the backbone of the whole end game system. And so like the number of different echoes types that are in the monolith as well is a little thin. So I think these are all categories we're targeting for improvements in the end game, and like, so adding more activities, improving the activities that are there, giving you some meta decisions to work on, and I think it's all going to come together to have just a much better end game experience in general, one that where you feel like you're affecting your end game experience and you're making decisions that are changing your activities, and you're like, these are all important things that we're trying to incorporate into the end game systems that I think other games that have been around for a lot longer do really well. And I think that players having those experiences in those other games is making it really clear what we're missing in these categories, and they're telling us. And so this is another one of those things of like taking feedback and putting it into action. So we are we get a lot of that feedback, and we are implementing it. which is why this is why we pivoted pretty hard on what 1.2 was originally going to be, and why I think it's why it got delayed, and why it's going to be, I think, so much more fun. But there was some tech. Part of the reason we had, picked this update to be, picked the Endgame update to be 1.3 originally, was because of the time of certain pieces of tech that we had to develop to make functional for those new systems to even work. And we thought we could do a more campaign-focused 1.2 to begin with. I guess to buy time for those endgame systems, but I don't think that would have gone over well. Dang it. That's a spicy meatball. Okay. Not super comfy. All right. More questions. I guess I just realized I spoke kind of negatively for a little while there, but I just want to let everyone know that I am unbelievably excited for what changes are gonna come in 1.3, and I think it's I would love to be able to be more explicitly spoilery about it. Forgot those go away when you walk in. Dang it. But you know what? For listening to my rambling, I present another node. This is a paladin node. Oh, we're gonna save that one. Here's something else instead. Yeah, this is cool. We'll split the nodes up. Here's a thing. Oh, look at that thing be. The big thing. All right. Hello. Maybe not popular opinion. Loot lizards. When you find one, it should be like, woo, lizard. But when you have multiple lizards during the echo, it's like, oh no, another one. Can you make them a more special moment and be actually happy to see them? We are. So that's one of the things we are doing. We are. We made this adjustment a little bit. I think we're making it a little bit more as well, which is just like making them drop a little bit higher quality loot and a little bit less of it. So they'll drop like rarer shards but less shards, and they'll drop rarer items but less items, and like so just turning up that quality and quality up, quantity down just a touch on them. I think will have a big impact on that, because I think you'll more frequently find, especially with loot filters so strict, you'll find things that you're actually wanting to pick up more. And be more excited about them. Hi, really love the game, and I've got a minion question. Currently, they always run behind the player. And what do you think about being able to position them to always run in front, or split range for front and split range for back and melee front? And is this something that's been discussed before? Sorry, it's been asked before. Yeah, it's fine. You don't have to apologize for asking questions. It's a good question. It has been asked many times before. It's less of a don't want to and not really sure how to. Having the minions be smart enough to know which direction is forward in the grand scheme of things is really tough. So like if you're advancing forward towards enemies, and then you're like, oh, I moved forward a little bit too far, and you turn around and go backwards, having it be able to recognize that you're just retreating a little bit and not actually setting a new forward direction, because you literally have set a new forward direction, causes so many problems. I think we've been talking about minion stances as an idea for years now, and I still haven't given up on it. I'd really like to see them be more of a just like an aggressiveness stance, and have them be a little bit more like, be able to tell certain minion types to be more aggressive, and I'd like to see that set in here. So like you come in here and you'd have like your summon skeleton tree, and you'd have like a little like thing that's just like passive, defensive, and offensive, and you just like set the minion type right there. That's what I'd like to see. I think I have opened the one skill tree that actually has the most issues with that, because there are different types. There's melee and ranged minions in here, so we may have to have like multiple inputs there. It's like this minion, and it would show you which minions are enabled or something like that. Like that's a lot of work to do that for every minion in the game, but I think it would be really positive overall. Are you guys going to remove that pesky transfer correct materials button from the inventory menu in season 1.2? Or you possibly rework how mats get sent to your stash? I don't have any specifics to share on this category yet, but it is definitely being talked about right now. I don't think the button is completely going away. I think I'm allowed to say that. Last Epoch, like in a few years, we got it. No, I think like in a few months. We're November right now. Did I say the wrong year? All right. No question. Just wanted to say you're looking great. Thanks. Yeah, thanks, Kane. What I was talking about with the minions here when I had the UI open behind that image was having something here to say like passive, offensive, defensive, or something like that, or maybe up here. You know, like somewhere on the skill tree is where I'd put it. I'm so bad at that. I'm so sorry. All right. All right. The job listing for your gameplay, or add the job listing for your gameplay development lead. Isn't that your role? If so, are you moving up or on? That is not my role, actually. I technically do have a new role. Although I have a new title, but my responsibilities have not changed whatsoever yet. So I'm moving more towards the design team side of things than the development team. So I've been kind of straddling design and development for years now. And I've been a developer that does design work, and I'm switching to be a designer that does development work. So kind of, but yes, I technically was never the lead gameplay developer either. But those positions that we do have posted right now, you would be working very closely with me, because it would be a lot of skill stuff that basically I'd be spending more time designing and handing stuff to you for implementation rather than designing it and then implementing it myself as well. But I'd be doing some implementation stuff myself. It's you know, a lot of us wear a lot of different hats. I'm making my primary hat design instead of development stuff. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. It has been a lot of fun. Nothing's really changed for me overall yet, which is fine because I've been working on this awesome project that I love doing. It's been so great. Last year around this time, I was doing stuff I really liked, but it was, I guess, early in the year as well. It was less stuff that I really liked. Like it was half stuff I really liked and half stuff I just kind of liked. And now I've been doing 100% stuff that I really like. It's been awesome. Hey Mike, regarding damage reduction DR on bosses, do you intend to keep that in that way? Currently it feels like players are being punished for trying to perform better. It's... Oh, you're close here. So it's not about punishment for performing better. That is definitely not what's happening. I can understand how it might feel that way.
Death will not take me.
But we're trying to give we're trying to give different builds the opportunity to play differently and still be effective. Like a straight glass cannon build and a full tank build. Obviously but the glass cannon build kills bosses right now, even kills bosses way faster. It's extremely different. Doing more damage gets the job done. Like, here, let's do some drawing. I love drawing. Okay, so let's say you've got the time it takes to kill a boss. Oh, it's a wonky line. Still bad. Who cares? So you've got the time it takes to kill a boss from start to end. And this is a pure health, no DR, no adaptive anything system. And the red line is glass cannon, and the green line is, let's say, a tanky build, crazy tanky build. And so the goal is the goal. I think some people think that the goal is to do this. I think that's what some people think the goal is to do. That's the way it might seem. That's really not what the goal is at all. The goal is to, or actually that's probably not true. I think what a lot of people think the goal is actually to do is this. Sorry. I think this is the feedback we get a lot. The goal. I think people think the goal is this, where we just want to bring the tanks up so they can kill at the same speed as people who focus DPS, and that's really not what we want to do at all. The goal is to bring the builds to bring the builds up that are maybe focusing a little bit more on tanking, or maybe just are a little bit less focused and aren't being quite as successful in their damaging. So to maybe bring them up so they are killing things a little bit better. I know I've done this backwards because time and speed. We'll just say like this direction is good. Oh my god. Okay, I've botched this completely. We're gonna start over. Okay. We're gonna start over. Here we go. This is time. Time as we go this way. So closer to the left is good. So left is good. So red is full DPS. DPS. Mahaha. And the boss ward system, we want this like full DPS build to get a small benefit from it and to actually kill things a little bit faster. So it's great. They get a little bit of a boost to kill things faster. Awesome. And then we've got over here, this is a tank. Doesn't have a ton of DPS. And we want them to not take an insanely large amount of time. So we want to bring them this way as well, but we want to bring them more. So we bring the tank up to here. Now the DPS, the full DPS build character is still killing things way faster. The tank build just gets more of a boost from the system than the DPS build does. So the distance between this is the important part here. Okay, so the distance between this line and this line is bigger than the distance between this line and this line. Okay. And this is a mess, and I'm sorry. I hope I'm making some sort of sense. So this is offset a bit, but like, so this amount is the amount that we've improved the difference between the two. We've improved, it depends on how you look at it. We brought them that much closer together. So it's just making this a little less extreme. It's making this gap a little less intense, and it's providing a gameplay mechanic that you can see and understand and play with, and maybe make some decisions around to optimize your gameplay at the same time. This is a mess. I don't know if I like this or not. I think I hate it, but it's fine. The point is that it's not to punish these people here. That is not the goal at all. The goal is to give these people a little bit of help, little bit of help. And I think the piece that's missing is that the assumption that if the ward was gone, the health would stay the same. If the ward was gone, the health would get a lot bigger. The ward was gone, the health would get a lot bigger. And if the ward was gone, this line here is where the DPS people would be, and with the ward, the DPS people are here. So it is helping everyone kill the boss faster. I think that's the important part. It's just helping people that are maybe less super high power build players more. Hope that helps. But like I say, we are... I just deleted it. I should have kept it. Oh well. We're trying to make that purple line longer by helping them a little bit more, and making the whole system, like making the purple line longer, but also making the gap between the two red vertical lines bigger as well. And making it show up in fewer situations, so you don't see it in mini boss fights. You don't see it when you're fighting the exile mages, or any of those places. Oh, whoa. This is my first time trying the apple bubbly flavor. I do not like apple flavored bubbly water, apparently. Woo! All right, can we get an option? Sorry for that gigantic ramble. I'm going to answer a bunch of questions quickly because that was absurd. I apologize. Can we get an option to stash tabs to allow us to highlight items that we can equip for lower level characters? I would love to. I don't think it works right now. We've been talking about stash search improvements a bunch, and the person who will be working on those has been working on inventory improvements. But yeah, they're on the list. I'm curious about dancing strikes. Is it going to see any mechanical changes? I feel like it being a proper channeled skill would make it better, at least performance-wise. But I'm concerned that rogues lack support for channeled skills at all. Yeah, there's not really much. I don't think it's going to become a channeled ability. The way that it works, having it end early doesn't work. Sorry. We know that the new skill you have so cryptically mentioned is for the Lich. You might as well tell us what it's called. It's not. So you can scratch the list off the Lich off the list. Aaron is panicking. Slow down the teasers before he strokes. Okay. I'll save the others for a little bit. I'm gonna ask the hard question no one wanted to ask. What's the deal with this game? We've got no content for an insane long time, and now it's too late. How do you plan to compete with PoE 2, which looks insane? I mean, 1.2 is going to have a ton of awesome content. Yeah, the most recent patch wasn't huge, but there was definitely stuff there, so maybe a little hyperbole, but yeah. We're going to release an awesome update with tons of great content, and it's going to be lots of fun. I think we realized that releasing a like a series of medium cool updates over the course of the year would have been probably worse. So we're going for the big one. We also have to play strategically around like marketing time and marketing money and things like that. You know, because we don't have the budget to go for a huge marketing spend on, you know, like 4 patches every year. So it's like some of them we have to like be a little more subtle about. And I know a lot of people weren't even aware that we've done some of them, because we went maybe too subtle on some of the marketing for some of them. You know. Oh, get it! You guys are a close one.
That is too much.
How do you feel other devs using the monolith as an inspiration for their game? You know what I'm talking about? I know you guys are friends. I mean, I don't know. They've been working on it for a long time, so it's unclear the order that things happened in to me still. Like, I don't know. There's definitely there's something I'm going to tease today. Here's a great example. There's a teaser I'm going to show you later today, that you might have a feeling of like, oh, you're just showing us this because PoE2 just announced it too. And I swear I had the screenshot before the PoE2 stream, and I didn't show it last week because it was right on the heels of that unveiling, and I was like, this is too close to the unveiling, so I'm going to save it to next week. But yeah, stuff gets developed simultaneously so often that I think it's tenuous if there actually was any like, hey, that's a good idea, let's see if we can make our own version of it. And even if it was, even like hypothetically, even if it was, I think it's great that people are building off of other ideas in the genre and are like I think game development should be a lot more openly collaborative than it typically is in the world. And I'd love to see a generally more free use of techniques and ideas amongst developers. And I know this is like not anything that's under my control or I have any sort of like authority to say what should or shouldn't happen with this sort of thing. But like, I don't know. I like a collaborative approach to things like this. Let's stick a prism wraps in there just because it's fun. Yeah, why not? That health was just teetering. That was crazy. What about WASD? The animation required to do it is immense, and any hope of a WASD support is still pending an entire animation rework for the character, which is thousands of animations that need to be done. I know that sounds like an exaggeration. It's not. Some of them do end up being overlapping with each other, but every single one of them needs to be checked. Even if one of them does work for 2, it still needs to be like gone through as an individual item to make sure it's good and make sure it's not an edge case and all those sorts of things. And usually a lot of them apply for like 2 to 3 situations, so it's maybe not thousands. Maybe it only ends up being actually hundreds of new animations that need to get created, and it could still be thousands. But my point is, it's a ton of animation work that we still got to do to even consider it. And it's animation work that we probably need to do anyways, but it's a lot of it, and it's gonna take a long time. And it slows down every other animation reliant thing in the game. Or is held up by, you know, like we have to prioritize these things. But even if we like stopped all of the animation stuff for every other thing that needed it and went wholesale into that, like there's no way we could get it ready for 1.2. It's not possible. Unless I don't understand the system well enough, which is, I don't know. I think unlikely, but I am no animator. Oh, Mike, I almost forgot. Have you started working on the Orbis monolith strategy idea thing the thing I was rambling about last week as a what if? No, we haven't started on that. I haven't even pitched it internally. I started making a design doc for it though.
Your death has come.
I mean, POET just copied your echoes as a late game mapping, so props to the team. Thanks. I mean, there's lots of similarities with other PoE systems already as well there. So like, I feel like there's always the chance that someone on the design team played Last Epoch at some point, and then just like they were in a design meeting and someone had a thought that wasn't like. I don't think anyone actually believes this. Oh, maybe some people do. I don't believe that there was at any point people were like, what did they have? What can we take? Let's figure it out type thing. Like I don't think that was the starting point for anything they did. And the stuff that is similar is very largely just coincidence, I think. Because like we weren't even the first game to do something quite like that either. You know, like there's other. I'm sure there's. I don't have good examples off the top of my head, but I'm sure there's other games you could find that you're like, well, this is just that with this feature added on, and this is just that with this other feature added on, and like. But I'll say this. I'll put it, here's a great way to put it. I really like the core style of the monolith system, and I'm really excited to play that in the PoE framework as well. So I think it's gonna be great. Do you plan to add corruption number on mono so we don't need to check what corruption we had in specific zones? I think this is the request to put it in here. I really like the idea. I don't know if it's being put in or not yet, but I really like it. Thanks. I just think about minions and formation. Yep. See the bug overlay on the screen. Yep. Do you plan to add new dungeon MB or more unique echoes, like echo with only lizard and timeline and limited time? Yeah, I think new types of echoes I think is a really important category of things we need to add. Yeah. Hey Mike, PoE2 has gone in the direction of punishing player hard for dying. Is the team still confident on the current decision of no penalty on death? I mean, so we do a very limited penalty on death. There's still death penalties in Last Epoch. They're just pretty tame. I think a lot of them, if I was making Last Epoch for myself only, and I didn't have to, I use this caveat a lot, and I didn't have to think about anyone else playing the game, and it was just for Mike, yeah, the death penalty would be a lot more severe. I think there'd be and you can, and I will never pitch either of these things to be in Last Epoch, because I don't think they'd actually be good for the game. But if I was making Last Epoch for myself only, we'd probably have durability. We would probably have like your stuff would drop on the ground. You'd have to like go find it again. We'd probably have like resurrection town fee type things. And like there'd be all sorts of death penalties and like experience loss. Like I really like having a high stakes death penalty that isn't quite all the way to hardcore. I don't want the character to just be done, but I want it to be like, I want there to be significant penalties for dying, and it'd be like, it to be like, I love those stakes where it's like there's like you're going along and you get a death and it's like it's crushing, and like, or you just narrowly escape death and it feels amazing. I love those moments. I don't think they're awesome for Last Epoch, so I don't ever suggest those in design meetings. I advocate against them in design meetings. But personally, I do really like those heavier death penalties myself. Downstairs. All right, more questions. Here we go. Here we go. With the update to engine, do you think we'll finally see the Warlock Necro be able to raise enemy mobs to fight with you? No, that's not an engine issue. Sorry. That's a networking stack issue.
Yes.
I'm on it.
Be well.
On it like a carb on it. Find another question while that comes off cooldown. Do you think to expand existing mechanics, MB? I don't know what the MB is. Something like, oh, maybe something. I got it. Maybe something like Exiled Mage map where we can craft unique prefixes. Or maybe, I'm learning, a dungeon with Exiled Mage boss at the end and some unique way to craft something new. I think you're on the right track, but I think you're I think there's room to be a little bit more creative with the new things we could add to do these things instead of trying to reuse too much. I think there's room for new stuff in the pipe to accomplish what you're trying to accomplish. But yes, I like where your head's at. Give me Stormbolt. Yes. All right. There's a new mechanic that we're adding for 1.2, and I thought it just happened here for a split second. And I'm like, wait, how is that on live? But it didn't. It was just something that happened to look kind of similar, and I was
It eludes me.
caught me off guard. Okay. Will procedurally generated areas be in next patch? And if yes, will they affect both the campaign and the endgame, or just the endgame? Whoa, that was close. We get front looking at my screen. We are I don't know is the answer to this one. We are actively working on procedurally generated content. I think it's gonna make it in for 1.2, sorry. The majority of zones will not use it initially. It's going to be something that we eventually leverage for the entirety of the game, campaign, monolith, dungeons, other things too that we add in afterwards. Like it's going to be, we're designing it as a core thing that we're going to use in the game. And initially the implementation is going to be very narrow. And will hopefully very quickly expand to become all over the place, but not completely ubiquitous. So we do still want handcrafted levels to exist in the game. There's just so many. In order to add the volume of things we want to add, so that the game is like really exciting. And I went into an echo. So there's enough variety in the game to do the things we want to do. We need procedural generation in the game. So yeah, the PCG systems are working. They're definitely functional right now. But they're early still. Come on.
Worthless, anyway.
That's what I get for not cleaning up the mobs. That was really close. My health just dipped into like double-digit numbers, I think. Okay, more questions. Wait a second. I know I heard you talk about a new Lich skill before. I even remember you saying that it's too good at doing what you're supposed to be doing. It needs more time to balance. Yes. We did start developing one. But that's not the one I was just talking about. And also I described a class that hasn't been touched in a long time. Lich has had a lot more changes recently than... Alright, will the set item rework system be in the next patch? Maybe. It's not impossible at this point. What kind of improvements are you seeing with engine updates? I mean, a lot of it is a lot of it's under the hood stuff that won't really be obvious at first at all. You know, like performance things. There's a lot of things that are the game just feels better to play. And you're kind of like, I wonder why that is. That's why. Bunch of stuff that's not supposed to be there, but the tab for it is probably full. Yeah, that's the next one to shatter. Hey, what about WASD, please? I did touch on this earlier in the stream, but I'll mention it again. There's a ton of WASD and Twin Stick is the same thing, really. It's the same thing holding them back. Is a ton of animation work that needs to be done, really. There's just so much animation updates that needs to be done before either of those work. So we're working on those. It's quite a ways out though before, like, and it's not really even. I don't want to say like it's coming or anything like that because it's animation stuff that has to be done before we can even really decide if we want to. Before it can be put in, really. I hope we do, though. I don't really see why we wouldn't at this point, either.
Has come.
But it is a big deal. So it's like adding a new control scheme is... Okay, I hear you. I did think of a reason why we wouldn't. And it's because of the huge updates they're doing the control updates right now, which may actually help it. I don't know yet, but so we're doing a big update to how controllers target, which is it's so nice. It's like I was playing on stream with the controller, and then we just had like an early version of the targeting update come through to like our internal gameplay testing. And so I played a controller test on stream a couple weeks back, our live version of the controller build, and I was having a little bit of a problem with a couple of skills and how they worked, and so I loaded up the same character on the new controller updates for it. It's so much nicer. Like all my complaints were just gone right away. I was so happy. That's interesting. So yeah, I think there's gonna be some great stuff there. It's basically a skill-specific targeting paradigms for a controller, and it's not even just skill-specific. It's specialization-specific. So like, what's a good example? The smoke bomb. Smoke bomb a good one? Shurikens. Yeah, shurikens is a good one. When shurikens is set to backflip mode. Does shurikens have a front flip mode as well? There's one that has like a backflip mode and a front flip mode. I think it's shurikens. Maybe smoke bomb. Anyways, it doesn't really matter. So like it targets differently if you've taken the backflip node but not the front flip node, and then it like changes targeting again if you've taken the front flip node. And it like it just it just feels, you're like, yes, obviously that's what I wanted to do. And I think that anyone who's maybe hasn't played with an ability that was suffering from situations of problems like that won't really notice much. But anyone playing the, I don't know, one of 100 abilities that suffers from it will absolutely love it. Also triggered abilities. Oh, triggered abilities feel so much better on it now too. Because you see people like triggering like a fireball trigger or something like that, and it just like goes flying off in whatever direction you're facing, not at the thing that you hit. And you're just like, come on. Or if you've played yeah, it just works so much better now. Alright, if LE61 was a pet, what kind of pet would it be? Void, necrotic, visual themed. Someone came up with this. It was like someone has like an actual answer for this. I can't remember what it was. I think it'll be void though. He'd fall into the void. Oh, it's a unique one. Do we go for it or do we finish the boss? Do we just go get it? See what it is? We're only at 6 corruption. It can't be that good. Let's just go for the boss. PoE 2 stole the endgame. D4 stole the itemization and greater affixes. I wonder what Titan Quest 2 will steal. Just joking. I love contributing to such things. Yeah. Yeah, it's like there's so many similarities in games across all sorts of genres that it's like, I don't know. Is there any chance of getting a sub game incorporated into LE to gamble our gold for items? Maybe a casino update with interactive mini games. You could wager gold for prizes if you win it. I'd love to. I think that if we were gonna do this, serious question, serious answer. Yes, I think there's room for something like this. I don't think it would be. When I say yes, there's room for something like this. I don't think there's room for a casino. Right off the bat, I don't think it could be a casino. I think that a casino, I know the game's not marketed at kids, it's rated not for kids, all that sort of stuff, but I still don't like putting literal casinos in a game like that. It's just, it feels so, it feels like a slippery slope. It feels like, you're encouraging things that might not be great habits in the real world for a lot of people that can't afford to do them. Even in a game when the consequences are so limited, I think it's still possibly not quite responsible to be encouraging things like that for people. And we know that kids do play the game, even though they're not supposed to, and that sort of thing. So I'm not a big fan of casino directly going in. I would, however, be really interested in a mini game where you could say, like it costs 100 gold, or it's like nothing. Say it costs, you could wager a fixed amount of gold, and you'd be like a head-to-head battle of like a head-to-head mini game battle with another player, where you could wager gold and winner takes, like, so you each put in 100 gold, and it'd be way higher than that, but you each put in 100 gold and the winner gets 175 gold and the house keeps 25 or something like that. As like it acts as a gold sink back into the game to keep the economy in a good place. It acts as like a stakes for the mini game and a way you can actually improve your character through the mini game playing, because you can then use that gold to leverage for things at the auction house and stuff like that. I think there need to be more explicit gold sinks for COF players to make that be really awesome. But I'd love to see it. Yeah, I'm reminded of, I know it was a failed mechanic in that system, but like I'm kind of reminded of like an anti-system in like Magic the Gathering, where you'd like put a card from your deck up for anti. Which is terrible in Magic, and I like they got rid of it for a reason. Oh my god, I'm just gonna die right away. Okay.
Do not stand in my way.
Oh my god, what did I click on? Oh, okay.
This is a mess.
Okay, that's okay. Oh my goodness.
Stand in my way.
Oh, and someone mentioned last week or the week before, they were talking about the
This is a mercy.
like the dodge and dodge back issue where like you'd.
Stand in my
Oh my
way.
god. Where sometimes when you activate,
This is a mercy. Shatter.
sometimes when you activate evade, it reactivates evade immediately, taking you back to the original location. And there's people that are like, this happens so much, how is it not being fixed? Like, it's insane type thing. And I'm sitting here being like, I've never seen this before, I have no idea what you're talking about. But we've got a fix for it. It was just announced in the November update, so we are working on that.
Sons of Art.
Which I'm really glad to see. I wish this shielding around him was a little more obvious. It always takes me a second to realize, because I don't fight this boss that often, that it always takes me a second to remember, like, oh yeah, he's invulnerable in this stage. And when one of my friends was playing through the game for the first time recently, I walked right into it.
Shatter. Stand in my way.
He was mentioning that. He's like, I can't hit him, he's invulnerable. Yes?
This is a mercy.
Come on.
Shatter.
See, I wish it was a little more clear.
Stand in my way.
Yeah, transplant kill.
To protect my people.
I'll take it. Oh, better roll. Chill, don't really care. Fizz res. Fizz res is nice. We do have a lot of it. Take stuff out elsewhere. We don't have a ton of armor, so more armor doesn't really do much. Percentage based armor is kind of useless for us. Let's do fizz res, and we'll take the fizz res out of somewhere else. We can always switch back anyways later because it's discovered now. Right. Please no XP dead. I don't like the death mechanic. Yeah, don't worry. I hope I said it enough times. I have no interest in putting that into Last Epoch. I personally think XP death penalty is a good thing for the higher levels to make the journey to 100 feel more exciting to hit. For me personally, I do think I like that. It is tough. I've been through the have you ever tried to level Diablo 2 to level 99? Oh my god, it takes forever. It is brutal. You're like, I died. There's a week of grinding gone, and like that sucks. So it's such a hard thing to balance and decide if you want. I'd almost, there's a small part of me that almost wants like a medium core mode, if that makes any sense, where you're like, these are all kind of good, aren't they? I've got good ones for all these. I want to replace them with better things. Okay, can we try empowered? We haven't done anything to make our character better. Not leveling up fast enough. Let's let's go right back in. Let's just get more. We need more. We're going up. Any teasers for MG improvements? Really like the system. Best training system for RPGs yet. Anything I can share with that? There's some little things. There's we're at that point of like go no go on a few systems, and there's something that's kind of hanging on the edge right now that might make it in, might not. If it does, it'll be awesome. If not, it'll be next patch. But yeah. There's definitely stuff on the way. Time stat for reference, we are 18, 218, 230. Yeah, okay, we're not doing too bad. I think it's net that has back and forth. There's one of them that starts with no movement, and you can add forward movement, and then there's a node after it. It's like, I know because I was testing it. On the tree, it's down here. There's like, it comes down, and there's a node like right here that says, I think it's backflip first, and then it comes down on an angle and it says forward flip down here. I think it's on Rogue somewhere. It's also a little thing like Ballista has a bunch of the nodes like that too, where you're like, if you've taken Ballista has some of the hardest ones too, because there's one where it's like the Ballista explodes itself, so you want to drop it right next to enemies. But then there's other ones where it gets buffs for being close to you, so you want it to drop right beside you. So like depending on which nodes you've taken, the controller has to be smart enough, or the game has to be smart enough to know that because you're playing on controller, you can't pick your targeting perfectly. So it has to target enemies or target yourself based on which of those nodes you have selected. And like, it's just a ton. Like there's so many nodes that affect it and change the strategy and how you play the ability, that all those decisions that you're making as a player on keyboard and mouse that you can't make on controller have to be able to be made for you. And because the way it is right now is it just does the same thing every time, no matter what nodes you've taken, makes certain nodes actually be downsides to your build, which is really problematic. So we're trying to make it so that all those issues go away, and you're like, oh, it's not putting this in. It's not like advanced strategy things either. It's not like we're taking the skill away completely, because like it's really basic things like, do I want to jump? Like if I've taken backflip to save myself from enemies, do I want to have to turn around in order to backflip away from the enemies first, or can I just use backflip and backflip? You know, like. Okay, that was a close one. Like hit and dodge. You can hear that spacebar when I try and dodge. Right. When will we get a veteran item set? I don't think we do many more of those. I'm kind of ho-hum on that whole thing. We'll see though. What is the story with the dungeon guarding the Black Sun? When do we get to fight it? Oh, dragon dungeon. Oh, get some glasses, Mike. The dragon guarding the Black Sun. When do we get to fight it? And what does Orbis come out and said Black Sun? Will it collide with chapter 12 of the campaign? I can't really tell you anything about that, but there is stuff about that is, you know, not fully unveiled yet. You probably sent the teaser, Mike. We still waiting? Yep, I did. I'm sorry. Here we go. You want it? You got it. Paladin. If a casino is a no-go, how about an arcade where you can spend gold to play mini games like Knockoff, Galactica, or Pong? We could still have LE Classic Games leaderboard. I think that's a cool idea. I think we'd want to tie it in a little bit to LE and have that gameplay transfer over. A little bit. I don't know. I think that might be a little too removed, but maybe. I think there's definitely room for mini games that have effects on things, and you know, like there's room for tie-ins there. I think. I have a pretty clear picture of what I want that to look like, but I'm being really careful not to say that out loud. Yeah. Why is it only fire-based special effects from attacks will crash my game? I don't know, but not other elemental special effects. What makes fire different? I don't know at all. I'm sorry. You gotta ping me to see the question? Yeah. Can I look up a little bit? Ah, yes. Will we see an overhaul of the trade UI and removal of the faction grid? No. Grind? No. Will we see a fix to the trade UI? I already answered that. Will volcanic orbs see some love in the next patch? Been asking for literal years. Volcanic orbs had changes and things done to it for sure. I don't think it's gonna. I don't think there's a giant overhaul plan for it. Are you playing PoE 2 on December 6th? I'm playing Last Epoch on December 6th. That's stream day. It's 1 week from today. But yeah, I'll be playing PoE 2 as well. And I had already booked the day off before they announced that date. But yes, I booked that day off. Accidentally, I swear. I booked the day off before it as well. We can watch the stream while we're all in queue. Yeah, I've asked them to make sure that there's a queue that ends right when I finish stream so that I can hop in right away. No. Let's give this one another try. I know we got our butts handed to us, but we're gonna try. Oh hi, first time stopping by. The Eterra monthly got me curious about the streams. Hope you're doing well. I am doing well. Hello. And I just realized, without anyone telling me, that it is still on screen. I got it. I got rid of the teaser. You proud of me? Oh, Kane sent me a message too. Hey, you deleted it. Yeah. almost got through that one on my own. I need like, this must be a thing. Like some way to push a button or something, I don't know, that like when I put a teaser on screen, oh my goodness, ouch my face, it really hurts. What is going on? Run away fast. So persistent. Oh my god. What? Oh, it doesn't do fire. I popped a potion going in because I'm like, this will be great, it'll save me. But no, it's not fire. Alright. Yeah, we just need more damage. That's how we fix problems. We add damage. I do need to take some time and actually like upgrade my gear a chunk because there's some big gaps in it right now. They're just not awesome. I want this. I want this. I go for this instead. I was going to ask about a gold saucer style zone in LE with minigame. Funny, someone else has been asking about it. Today I think it'd be sweet. Maybe even an in-game Magic the Gathering style card system. You know me too well. Recently I was talking to a friend about the fact that roll is a fatally implemented mechanic. Okay? For the reason that it is slower than the character with average movement speed. No, it's not. Due to which it's easier to be hit by some of the opponent's abilities. Trying to avoid them with roll than simply running away from them. No, roll is a little bit faster. It's not a lot faster, but it's a little bit faster. It's also faster over a short distance. So if there is like if you're standing in an AoE that's like this, and you have to close a gap that's like this distance, that is much faster rolling that than walking that. But if you're trying to get out of an AoE that's like this big, the difference, because there's a little bit of a stall after you roll, the speed's non-linear. Trying to go like really long distances, if rolling is a tiny bit faster, but the difference is much less over longer distances because you get those stops partway through where you do take a pause. But used for repositioning specific motions in combat, it is more efficient than running. And it also lets you go through certain things as well. So it's definitely better than walking. Also, if your move speed increases, the roll speed increases as well by the same rate. So there's no you never have to qualify it with average movement speed, because low and high movement speed characters still have the same benefit from roll relative to their normal movement speeds. Yeah. Because I agree that the concern you have about it is very valid concern, and we very specifically designed it so that wouldn't happen. And it's not perfect. But I do love it. And I don't use it nearly enough. Okay. This is getting a little spicy. Getting a little spicy. More questions. Gotta do it. Any multiplayer improvements for next cycle? We're doing seasons now. Me and my buds really like Ellie, just not much incentive for playing together. Lots of crashes, especially in dungeons. Yeah, I mean, there's lots of stability improvements that are coming. Multiplayer, there's lots of great stuff with just having it be a smoother gameplay experience that's happening. We're switching chat providers, which I know doesn't seem like it would be that big of a deal, but the reason why the friends list is kind of janky and doesn't always do what you hope it does and is slow is because of the polling rate that the chat provider we use runs through. So yeah, we're definitely working on all that stuff. The dungeons is a known issue for party play that we are very much actively working on. And it's getting tons of fixes around that too. What else was on there? Like, short answer is yeah, we're doing stuff. It's like the multiplayer experience is either, it depending on what day of the week, it's either number 1 or number 2 priority, and the thing that takes back its spot sometimes is just overall game performance. So yeah. Have you been doing any work towards PvP? No, we have not been doing any work towards PvP. I can talk about PvP for a minute. I'd really like PvP in the game. I think it's one of those things where it's gonna take a lot more work than I think I expect it will take to get PvP actually functioning and fun. Just because there's a lot of things. Yeah, how do I say this? There's a lot of things we do in the game to give the player an edge, so that it always feels fair. So the game's never like cheating them. Like, we could have minions or enemies be like, oh, I'm standing in that AoE that you've got going on. Okay, I'm gonna use this movement ability and get out of it. You know, like, sure. It probably wouldn't feel fantastic if enemies did that all the time. Players will do that. So there's a lot of then at the same time, like, there's a lot of CC reduction stuff that we do for players. Like, once you're stunned, there's a cooldown before you can get stunned again. And if someone's building a character that's like really heavily around stun, it's going to behave super differently against players than it is going to behave against enemies. And so there's a lot of these little things we do to be like, so that the game feels fair. It's like kind of air quotes fair. That we just wouldn't be able to do in a PvP situation, or we'd have to edit and change and modify how it actually functions so that it still feels fair, because we're like, there's like the the player side, there's the offensive and defensive side that are sometimes fighting with each other, and in PvE, when you're fighting enemies and not players, I know E is environment, not enemies. Yeah, anyways, when you're fighting other people and not the environment, which like who the system gives deference to needs to be carefully decided in each situation. Whereas when it's fighting just when it's PvE, we just like, oh, the player always gets the consideration. Whenever there's like a conflicting things that say like, if it always does, this always happens and this never happens, what happens? Like who wins type thing. Well, in the game right now, we just say, oh, the player's effect just wins. But when we go PvP, we have to figure out which effect wins for every single one of those scenarios. And then there's just like the complete damage imbalance. Like the game's entirely balanced around, enemies having these ginormous health pools. And like I'm critting players, I'm critting enemies. Like I do not have a super high power build at all. And I'm right now critting enemies for way more than my own health pool. Like high DPS abilities are so lopsided, where you'll be like, oh, I've got my tools of DPS shows a 7-digit number and my health number is a 4-digit number. It's like, if those two things collide, it's just gonna be like two people with the longest range abilities they can possibly find sitting on opposite sides of the PvP arena shooting at each other until like someone hits someone else. And it's just all these little things that need to go together to make PvP really fun and balanced and actually enjoyable for everyone. And all of these things I've said have solutions. Every single one of these problems has ways that you can solve it. But it's going to be a long development process to find the right solution for all those problems, test them, make sure they all work together in a system as they play together well, all these things. And it's going to be a process to get PvP into the game. It's something that we've wanted to do for a long time. It was one of the stretch goals of our original Kickstarter. We didn't get to it technically, I don't think. So, debatable whether or not we committed to it or not. But eventually, it's going to be something that we're going to do. It's just going to take some time. And I think that the core systems of the game that people interact with and play with a lot now are more important to be spending our time on than PvP. So, I think Endgame's more important than PvP right now. So we're focusing on Endgame for this patch. I'd really like to see PvP go in. I'd really like to see... There's a few things I'd really like to see with it, in particular, but I think there's lots of room for awesome PvP content. I've talked in the past about stories we've when we originally were starting out, with... I have one more thing. Okay, cool. Here's another teaser. Just we're running low on time. So I've talked about PvP. What was I gonna say? I completely lost my train of thought. Anyways, there's a cool thing on screen this way. So this is a bit of a tease of a teaser because it's cut off very strategically, because we haven't fully balanced this node yet. We know what the axes we're balancing it on are, but we don't have specific values for how much yet. But yes, this is the thing that I was referencing earlier, where I didn't show it last week because it had just been spoiled as a thing in PoE 2 as well, and I'm like, nah, it's too soon. This week I realized, whatever, we're doing it anyways. So yeah, this is in. It feels great. I've already started designing stuff for it. There's stuff for 1.3 that I've been designing that's gonna go in, that's gonna affect this as well, and I'm so excited for this one. So you can equip a shield at the same time as a two-handed axe, mace, sword, or spear. So it is worded very carefully, and it is a little limiting. So this is specifically, you may notice Forge Master's Might. This is specifically on Sentinel. There's still room for, expanding this in the future, but initially it is specifically going to be a single two-handed weapon with a shield. So no other catalyst or something like that. Yeah, it is specifically allowing you to equip a shield in your offhand at the same time as a two-hander in your main hand. And it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. And this is the sort of thing that like wouldn't be possible if our entire animation team was doing the WASD controls, because this required a ton of animation work to do, which I know sounds kind of weird, but it's a lot. Hey, are there any spear changes coming? Yep, you're gonna be able to use them with a shield now. Which is great. Oh, suggestion here, maybe then roll should just be a little longer. Maybe. I'm pretty pleased with where it is right now, personally. But if you do have a specific suggestion like that you'd like us to consider, please head on over to our feedback and suggestions forums or feedback and suggestions sections in Discord, as we do very frequently pull suggestions from there and feedback, and like it gets in the game, like it really does. I think this is I talk about this all the time. People who come regularly are sick of hearing me say this, but like it feels a little like and I understand this feeling for sure. It feels a little like there's this place we put where we're like, oh, we don't care about the suggestions, and here's a place that you can go throw them and we won't look at it over here in the corner. Just go put it over here to appease you and be like, shut up and go put them over here. That's so not what it is. It's like the complete opposite. It's just like we get so many awesome suggestions that trying to pull them all from every corner of the internet is painful. And so we just need your help in getting them organized a little bit. And the easiest way to do that is if everyone just puts them in the same place. So we have like 2 or 3 places we pull them from specifically, and then like we do look elsewhere too if it like casually happen to stumble upon it. But by far the best way to get us to see it is putting it in the feedback and suggestions forums on our website or in the Discord channel. It's like not even close to comparable how much better it is there. And like we specifically go through the things that come through those channels as a group. We're like, hey, this came through that channel. What do we think about this? And it's like part of our design meetings. Yeah, really good. Use those channels. They're awesome. Any thoughts on community-driven in-game content on the likes of PoE, div cards, and such? Feels like we have such a creative creator community. That could be a great opportunity. Yeah, I mean, we do have like supporter uniques that go in. I'm working on one right now. That's awesome. There's, you know, like we've done a few collaborative, like a bunch of, we did a unique once where we just like polled the community for every little piece of it. We're like, what base type? What's the theme? What's the, you know, we just like pulled each piece of it out. That was pretty cool. You know, yeah, I think we might maybe need to do more of that, but I do think there's room for it. I think we've done some of it and they've been very successful. As a game creator, how do you keep yourself focused on one goal and stop the mind goblins from pulling you in 10 different directions? What makes you think I can stay focused? I think having clear, the way I do it myself is having very clear mini goals. So like I will frequently set out like, okay, I got 1,000 of these things to do. I've got to do at least this rate. Okay, let's take 20% more of that onto the rate and let's set that as a weekly goal. And then like let's have specific like compartmentalized mini goals. And I really work well with that. So that's how I do it. Does that mean we will see dual wielded two-handed weapons? It's possible, but that is not what that node enables. That node specifically enables a shield to go with a two-hander. Someone said attack speed. Yeah, the obvious one. Do you plan to add new masteries or new classes? And if you do, when will we have a chance to play it? We do plan to add new masteries and new classes. None of them will be appearing in 1.2. The next patch will not include a whole new mastery or a whole new base class. But we do plan on adding more of them, and they're going to be great. I think I know what the next I know what the next mastery class is going to be for 2 of the base classes, and I have a pretty good feeling what the next mastery class is going to be for 2 more of them. And I have no idea what the last one's going to be for the for the 5th mastery, or the 4th mastery for the 5th base class. No idea yet. And I have a pretty good feeling I know what the first new base class is going to be as well, but I'm less confident on that one. We're going to see new mastery classes appear before we'll see new base classes appear, likely, just because of the scope of the work required. And I think everything I've said is like not new information, but recap of stuff I've said before. People have been asking for dual wielding two-handed weapons, and I'm waiting for dual wielding wands and scepters. Will we see this someday? It's possible. It's there's a kind of a thematic issue there where it's like it's not doesn't really fit with how like there's not really a core fantasy to fall back on for those things as much. Yes. You know what would be cool is if the cast speed affected the rate that fireballs shot out at from the shrine. That'd be sweet. Alright. So, Barbarian is coming confirmed. I still think that what class is it? Primalist? That's the one people say it was for. Right? I still think Primalist has room for a couple options. That I'd like to see. I think Barbarian would be a sweet option. If I was given the whatever I want goes card for that, I would it would not be Barbarian from me, I'm sorry. I would take it a different direction. But you'll be happy to know that I am far from the only voice in the room. And I was not talking about Primalist when I was like, I know one of them for sure. And I say I know one of them for sure. I mean, you know, you never know. Barbarian would be sweet though. I think it's a really cool playstyle. And it has fantastic roots in there's core fantasy to pull from, you know, like it fits really great. There's, you know, it's an obvious choice. All right, we're coming up on the end here, so I'm not gonna do any more echoes, but I will finish off answering some questions. Did I do all the spoilers for this week? I did do all the spoilers this week. If Barbarian, anyone there play Warhammer 40k Inquisitor Martyr? I just got into it in a good time so far. Wondering if you had any influence from that as well. It's been like, I've been so close to starting it up so many times. It just keeps getting pushed off by something else. I know a few people on the team have played it and have good things to say about it. When can we expect Rogue, Sentinel, and Primalist to reclaim their missing skills? It's a weird way of wording it, but yeah, I see what you're saying, Shadow. Rogue is the worst affected with 4 slots still vacant. I agree, Rogue is the worst affected with 4 slots still vacant. If Barbarian is in the game, does that mean we will have shout cooldown recovery rate? Yeah, that's one of the things. Warcry is pretty heavily linked to Barbarian theming, and it's pretty heavily integrated into like multiple it's pretty because it's got like totem mode, it's got werebear mode, it's got it's just really good with minions as well. So it's like it's really integrated already across the classes. But you know, it would be tough to build off Warcry too much directly. I'd almost want to like, if you were going to, this is not something we're working on, so I can talk about it. If we were going to add a Barbarian class, I'd want to maybe add a second, like more shouts, possibly. That might be a way to take it as a theming route. Maybe just one more. I don't know. All right. Any any time frame on missing skills for shaman, lich, marksman, etc.? They'll slowly come in. We're not really specifically saying, hey, there needs to be the same amount for every class, but we do focus on the ones that have fewer. Hey Mike, is anyone on your team testing with a handheld like the Ally X to check performance and compatibility with LE? We don't officially support those devices, so I don't think so. At least no one's explicitly testing it for each new feature, I can say that. I know there's a few people that on the team that do play with things like that. So vaguely a little bit, but not really. New class idea, Void Bishop, caster that just deals void damage. I feel like you can come up with a way better name for that. And is that Acolyte or Mage base? I feel like psychic stuff is a great fantasy that not supported in the game yet. Any thoughts on that? Mesmer was one of my favorite classes in Guild Wars 1. I played way too much Guild Wars 1. That was my Guild Wars 1 was my first like fantasy RPG online game. And Mesmer, so good. I love Mesmer class. I would love to get something like that in. I think that's I would jump at the opportunity for that type of class. Yeah. Any idea next season will start? Sometime between January 1st and March 31st. Do you think we would ever see a battle order style Warcry, or giving health to OP and LE? Temporary health has problems in our system. It's not impossible, but it has problems, so we avoid it if we can. I remember you say you plan to change set items somehow. Are we close to this change, or is it still just far away? It is closer than it's ever been, but I have no ETA. I mean, it's always closer than it's ever been. That's the dumbest thing to say, Mike. You just said literally nothing. It's I would say there's been some minor movement on it recently. I'll say that. But I don't want to promise anything around it. It's one of those things that it's a system that we've had like in the chamber for so long, and like it's gonna be great, and like it doesn't need to be super complicated, but just getting set items integrated back into the like, hey, a set item dropped, yay. Like having that moment come back is so important, I think. I feel like is Bard coming? Bard's a really tricky class. I haven't seen a good pitch internally or externally yet for a Bard that would fit well in our class system. Bard is a base class. I don't think it would work. I think it would have to be a mastery, and I haven't seen a good base class that fits Bard really well yet. There's been a couple. There was an example I had a while ago that I thought was decent, but it's still like B+ range, and I want A+. I feel like the rogue archetype is. You hit me with all these questions at the end. I love these questions. I'm gonna have to end at some point, but I will keep answering them. So I'm just not gonna play so I can answer faster. I feel like the rogue archetype is one with the least defensive skills and passives. Any idea to give it at least evasion defensive option for the rogue? For the rogue class. I mean, there's I think rogue has a lot of rogue actually has a lot of defensive mechanics. We've got dodge, we've got silver shroud, we've got dust shroud, we've got glancing blow, we've now got parry, and it does also have ways that you can instead like you can use armor as well. It also has like iframe stuff on certain abilities. It also has super high mobility. I think mobility not being counted as a defensive mechanic is a missed opportunity sometimes. So and yeah, there are still options for other defensive things. There's really good ways of applying offensive based defensive things. So like applying frailty, applying blind, applying slow, applying stun. It does all those things really well. Immobilize things. It has so many of these tools that you can leverage that I think it's actually kind of spoiled for choice when it comes to defensive options. But yeah, there's always room for other things to come in as well. It's tricky adding in too many axes that you can scale defenses on, and I think that dodge is inherently a frowned upon mechanic in RPGs in general, unfortunately. Any plans to add WASD support in the future? I have answered this twice already this stream, so I'm just going to go really shortly. The animation requirements for it are so immense that it holds it back. Here's an idea that's been submitted to Discord. What's your take? I think it's what it's supposed to say. New base type idea, new base item idea of incorporating. Oh god, I'm gonna butcher that name. Kasirigama? Close. Basically a chain with a sickle on one side and a weight on the other. It would be a two-handed weapon that implicits would be % chance to drag a distant enemy nearby on melee hit. Base stun nearby enemy on melee hit. Yeah, the implicits are kind of a non-starter. So no on those implicits. I hate saying no to ideas, but like I'm sorry, those implicits are not okay to do on a base weapon type. They're too complex, and moving enemies in general is not something that's very performant, and so we try and avoid it, and it's got tons of issues, so we try and avoid it as well, from a design perspective as well. So it's I could see a unique that kind of worked this way a little bit maybe, and like there's really specific situations that those effects happen, so you could build that fantasy in. As a base type, I don't think there's enough variation in the in the base type that you'd be able to, like, if you're introducing a new base type, there needs to be a lot of variation in the mechanics that can go in those implicits. So like, you know, you get different theming for different base types. Like you on like daggers, you get much higher crit and attack speed, and then on like two-handed maces, you get a much higher damage and stun chance. So there's like these themings that happen around these base types that you need to be able to spread across all the different types of subtypes in that base. All right, I was just thinking that very interesting option would be to be able to get a special runes that would allow you to shatter set items in order to get shards with to upgrade them. Yeah, that's a cool way of doing it. Putting those shards back onto set items would feel kind of weird, I think. Vial of volatile ice. Well, one thing we don't want to do with set items is add more stuff to existing set items. That's something we're not really interested in doing, because that's basically what unique items do when you add exalteds to them. Vial of volatile ice is one of those items I'd love to see more of on other classes, but those items I think would be awesome to have different implicits to accommodate. Also, why can't staves have melee attack speed aside from quarterstaff implicit? Let's avoid melee weapon. It's a valid melee weapon after all. I think it just comes down to the class fantasy, and we don't really have a dexterity two-handed staff type class fantasy yet. Like we don't have that monk play style that I'd really love to see. So I think we would need that mastery or base class that would have that theming to come through first, like a martial, like a low armor staff wielding martial type character. That we don't really have yet, but I'd love to see. So I missed it, but if is anyone on your team testing LE? I already answered that. Or maybe you missed it. So we are testing with. So there's a question. Okay, let me read the whole thing. I may have missed it, but is anyone testing on your team LE with handheld devices like ROG Ally X or Steam Deck for performance improvements mostly? We are testing on Steam Deck, and that is something we're actively developing improvements for. The other things that get improvements because of that is indirectly, but Steam Deck is a platform we're supporting. The other ones are platforms that happen to work. Two-handed shields? Oh my god, I want it, please. Are you guys addressing the disparity between one-handed and two-handers in 1.2? There are lots of changes to both coming, so it's gonna be a different story. All right, I was just thinking that a very interesting option would be able to get a special. You already said this. Thank you, sir. I missed your reply earlier. No problem. Mogul, I think that was one I just answered. I don't know if it was intentionally a double question there. Well, we did it. 12 minutes over, that's fine. You had lots of great questions at the end there. Sorry I had to rattle through them a little faster. If you do have any more questions, or I missed your question, I apologize. It was not intentional. please head on over to our Discord. We have an Ask the Devs channel where I'll be happy to answer it there for you. That'll about do it for me. I'll be back same time, same place next week. And even though it's the okay, we'll double check. There might be an announcement that we may cut it. I don't know. They may decide there's no point if the PoE 2 is the exact same day. But I've streamed before on PoE launch days, so who knows? I'll probably be streaming. I want to. Anyways, I hope you had a great day. I hope you had a good time. I know I did. I'll be back. And let's go say hi to someone. Let's go see who's out there streaming LE right now. Let's see. Oh. Don't know if it's a reference, but love the British version of the show. Couldn't get into the UK. Couldn't get into the US one.